Norman?
I'm going to get some things in here real quick.
You want to hook yourself in?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, we can talk in. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to get my computer hooked up here real quick. I got 47 slides I'm going to show you. So get your pens out, get ready to go, because man, it's going to be a whole bunch of talking. So try to talk and listen at the same time. No, it's actually 3 slides as part of this, so it shouldn't take them long. No, hook it up here real quick. But first I want to...
44 slides.
Okay, and so the most important thing for me while I'm up here, so everybody understands and knows this, is first of all not to get the 3-minute sign from Gabby, okay, because I will invariably go over that, and then it'll be plus 3 minute, and you don't get a plus 3 minute sign that you're 3 minutes over. Gabby comes up and he starts choking you. So we do not want that to happen, and I like my neck the way it is. So I will try to make sure that I stay inside of that window that they've given me, and so I have about 22 total minutes before 30 minutes after the hour, and so I have to do that before, and I think we're going to take some questions, are we, Gabby, if available? Okay. All right. Yeah, so hold on. So first of all, I think one of the important things is to let you know that this is not my first time having a chance to be able to be here in Israel. I've been to Israel approximately 10 times now in various opportunities. The first time I was here was in 1983, and then many times after that, and having a chance to work with Uzi and others in the IDF, and it's been a lot of fun to have a chance to be able to do that. Okay. Yeah. Well, whether I have slides or not, here's the important things that we have to do. One is that if you're not aware, and I say completely aware of the environment and the environment in the world that we live in today, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. That environment is not one that is singular. It stays the same. It is always moving. It has a level of fluidity to it. So, people say, hey, you have to be flexible in your life. I think if you're flexible, you're absolutely too rigid. The world will not allow you to be flexible anymore, okay? You're going to fall behind. Said in a lot of times, people go like, hey, I like it the way it is. And I seem to be churning along just fine in terms of the things that I have a chance to be able to do. Every day that you are unable to be able to look at the world in a flexible manner, then you will not, I guarantee you, you will be getting behind. You will not be able to stay the same, all right? So as you are moving forward, one of the things that you'll see is that the environment always gets a vote, right? In anything that you do, where you're going, the environment will make you change because you have to adapt to it. I guarantee you that the environment will not adapt to you as you are going forward. There are too many things that are going on in the world today as you're looking across the spectrum, everything from problems that were noted in terms of the Arab Spring into natural resources, how they're being done, the financial systems of the world. Yes, there are issues in terms of people having differences in terms of where they are, who they are, what they want to do, trying to have impact and influence across this incredible expanse. The environment, the real environment, the physical environment that we're in is changing. There's a problem with global warming. And I can tell you in Washington, D.C. this year, we had not just a little bit of snow, but we had a lot of snow. And it wasn't as fun as it had been in previous years. But it was a matter of, hey, the world is changing, and how are you going to change with it? When I was very junior, we came up with a little slogan that said, hey, if you were flexible, you were too rigid. You had to be fluid. You had to fill the available container, right? Now, that may sound, very simple, but think about it. Instead of you saying, I'm going to make that container fit me, I am now going to fit the container. That is a way that you have to think because you just don't do that automatically. You want the world to fit you as opposed to you fitting the world. And it's very important that you continue to be able to do that as you're going forward. So what is this infosphere, and what does it really mean, and where are we going, and what are the pieces that are coming about? One is I'm going to talk in the international realm. I'm not going to talk national level, because really when you start talking about cyber, you are talking international. The interconnectedness that we have every day, the things that we have to do, does not allow us to be a national level entity if we are going to play in that particular world. The infosphere, I like to refer to it as, is being flat and infinite. Okay? And when I say infinite, that means that you can continue to put things on the edge. The edge is wherever it is out there. I don't care where it is. Well, you know, when you get to the edge, then you ought to do is hook up another computer or another server. And now it's bigger. There's a new edge. And it will continue to grow as much electrical power as we can supply to it. And people will be able to continue to look at that, touch it, and make it grow. And if you think that you're going to be able to contain it, well, you're absolutely wrong. You can't. Human nature will not allow that to happen. So how then do we connect all of the things that we have to connect? Not only this flat, infinite infosphere that's out there, but then all of the different cultures that it touches every day. So how does that connect? How do we make that happen? How does it flow across that? So you really want to play in it? Go ahead and be flexible. You won't play. You have to be fluid. Governments have to learn how to be fluid. It was pointed out in terms of, from a governmental perspective, governments are too slow. They are absolutely too slow. There's these huge behemoths with their bureaucracies, and nothing's wrong with bureaucracy. I will tell you that right now. It's important, okay? But the idea is that they do not have the capability or the capacity to be able to move at the speed. They are not fluid in terms of being able to flow to where they need to flow to in the time that they need to float there to be able to really make a difference. So, you know, as we're going forward, you know, first of all, countries have to sort of say, okay, what is cyber? Individual countries. And then we have to get to the real problem. What's international cyber? And what does it mean? And how then do we build all of those laws and regulations that will allow us to be able to operate safely in there, looking at the security piece, you know, and the freedom that is necessary and the privacy that is required for not only countries and corporations, but also individuals that are going to play in that particular area. So my last slide, and as I move forward here, is that we have challenges. And again, the environment has a right to be able to have a vote. And we have to look across that expanse and decide what is it that we're going to do. You know, I have a picture of the world here at night with all of the wonderful lights in the United States that shine. And so we're doing our part to make sure that we use up all the natural resources as fast as we possibly can. And we're darn proud of it. But really what happens is if you were to look across the expanse of the world and see the things that are going on now and the things that have the possibility of going on in the future, the United States is no longer an island. I always like to tell people that. We're an island where we sit. It's kind of a unique situation. But we're connected with everything else. And it's the movement of information now that governs the world in which we're in. And how then are we going to continue to be an island when the importance of what we do, the economic importance, the financial importance, the social economic importance of what we do, is continuing to be distributed across the world. So there are going to be greater impacts as we're going forward. So a couple of the things that I think are important that we need to think about as we are going forward, even as we look at from a national perspective, we look from an international perspective. So one of the important things that we have to do is how are we going to build international cyber structures and organizations? And what's going to govern those organizations as we're moving forward? We've got to give real thought to that. It is not something that we can think about and say, yeah, we'll get to that later. We have to think about it now, and it requires deep thought. So when I was back at UCOM, I used to always talk about it. If you're going to do cyber business, okay, cyber business is not for undergrads, okay? It's not even for people with master's degrees. True cyber business requires a person to be a doctorate level degrees because it requires deep thought. So just for an example, an attack happens anywhere, okay? The individual that launched that attack has no idea, trust me, right now today, has no idea the actual consequences of that attack. They have none. Because they have not sat down and thought through all of the possibilities and where all of the connections are being made when the attack occurs. And what are the cascading effects that could end up happening in the aspect of that attack, and what are the actual physical manifestations that could come out of it. They can't, because they haven't sat down and done the analysis that is necessary to be able to make sure that an attack is either pinpointed or it's a general attack, a DDoS attack. It's a general attack. Hey, we're just going to throw a lot of stuff at it. So the important piece is that if you want to play in the game, you better, sit down, think about how you're going to play in that game appropriately, and what are going to be the physical manifestations of the virtual attacks that you are going to execute. Because if you don't, you could start something that you did not want to start. So be careful as you're going forward. Understand that. The second part is after you've built all of these cyber structures and organizations, how then are you going to do cyber law enforcement on an international scale? Yeah, I told you, man, this is PhD level stuff. All right, and you're going to need to get a whole bunch of ambassadors in the room, and everybody else needs to sit down, and they have to think about how are you going to be able to do that. Because, right now there's a certain level of anonymity that people have as they're on the net. There's a time coming, trust me, okay, because there's a bunch of really smart people. A lot of them are here in Israel. Israel's growing, just like you say, you want to bring them. They're going to be incredible and astute individuals that are going to be in Spain and every other country. And they're going to find out who the person was, who the entity was that did something. And you got to have laws that are going to have to be able to govern that so you can go after that person or that organization so that you can get them so they don't do that again. You have to make it really so it hurts so people don't. And you can only do it on an international basis. Because I go back to when I said it was flat and infinite. And one person on the net is like 1,000 people. Okay, it's like 12,000, a division of soldiers that you end up having. That one person with the right tool can wreak havoc. And you have to be able to find that individual, okay, and bring them to justice so others will think before they do it. Because if you don't, what you will have is, much like you have today, like we'd call in the United States, you got the Wild Wild West, okay? Gunslingers, and bad men, and, sheriffs are out there trying to do their job, in Texas, but they got, 350,000 square miles for 2 guys or 3 guys to be able to try to govern. That's where we are today. And you've got to be able to say, no, you have to have a connected environment that allows you to be able to find the individuals and be able to make sure that they pay for the things that they do. So build international laws. You have to have national and international coordination and collaboration. All right? You have to collaborate in those spaces that you are using together. Because if you don't, it's going to be a horrible situation. And then you have to look across the social, society, cultural, and human nature issues that are out there. Because in the end, you're dealing with people. And then how are you going to be able to deal with those people across all of those boundaries and walls that we end up throwing up? So in the end, as it says down there on the bottom, the rapidly evolving global cyber environment will clash with and impact social and cultural norms in unforeseen ways. I guarantee you that will happen. It is happening today, and it will continue to happen into the future. I think individuals and I think countries sometimes look at themselves, especially in the old world environment, as being this insulated piece from the rest of the world. But what we're going to do is we're going to stick out these tendrils through the internet, and we're going to touch everybody else, and things will be okay. No, you open yourself up. You cannot close it off, and you have to find ways to be able to work inside of that from an international basis, from a law basis, as we're going forward. That picture of the Earth, if you look at it, it's a little bitty blue ball that sits the third planet from the sun. That's it, boys and girls. You know, you can try to say, hey, I'm going to get out of here, all right? But the only way you can really get out of here is go ahead and die, all right? Let's be honest with you. Other than that, you're sort of stuck with what we have, at least for the foreseeable future. And you have to try to work inside of that construct. It's difficult. It's hard. But if you do not look to be able to truly find ways to work inside of that construct, whatever policy you have, whatever strategy you may end up coming up with, it won't work. Not as we look and relate to cyber. It's hard because that means you're going to have to compromise to be able to get to areas where you want to be able to work. And if you're not prepared to compromise, you'll do okay for a while. But in the end, I get a real good feeling that you will end up failing. So national, international organizations have to come together. They have to find ways to be able to work together, to be able to ensure a certain level of security, privacy, capacity, and capability as we're trying to work in this new cyber environment that we have. I applaud the work that both Spain and Israel are doing. A great opportunity for me to have a chance to be able to be here again. And thank you very much for your time. And I'm way ahead.